It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live,
the Bostonian versus the book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
Here he is, Matt Perrault.
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, guys? We're off and running on a Monday post-Super Bowl for the Bostonian versus the book. My name is Matt Perrault. This program is being brought to you by our friends at BetCris Arizona. If you missed the announcement last week, those guys are now the presenting sponsor of BVB. We are live on YouTube and X at Boston versus the book. Replay on Sports Grid Television and your audio podcasts, wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. We got a lot to get to, obviously, in the wake of the Super Bowl. In the win for the Seattle Seahawks. We will commiserate with our guy Fitzy from WEEI here in about 15 minutes. We'll jump to Boston to find out how everyone is doing in the wake of what happened last night. A complete and total destruction of the Patriots by that Seattle Seahawks defense. I don't think Sam Darnold played well, but I do think that Seahawk defense was every bit what we thought it could be in the game. And if you are somebody that bet the alternative spread, you were right. I will eat the crow. I told you I thought you'd be dead wrong. I thought the best way to bet that game was to take the money line, to say the Seahawks win by 3. Thought the line was too heavy. It was not. It wasn't big enough. As Seattle kicked field goal after field goal, but that's how the Patriots beat the Broncos. It was the same thing. The offense was not going to beat the Seahawks last night. And Mike McDonald was smart and said, hey, I don't think Drake Maye and this offensive line can do anything against our defense, so we're not going to allow Sam Darnold to hurt us. We're not going to, his early throws, if those get picked off, we're talking about a different game. It's the same conversation about the Broncos picking off Drake Maye. If they had picked him off early in the first half, we're talking about a different game. That is sports, right? That's why we love watching this. That's why we are all glued, even for a bad football game, because bad football is still better than no football, which is what we have now until the draft, which is make-believe football, and then until we get training camps open up in July. It's February. We have a lot of time to spend dissecting and brutalizing, ripping on rookies for what they did last night and how bad they played last night. And it is a tough scene to see young kids who have been in the league for a year in tears in the locker room and unable to talk to the media because of how poorly they played and how badly they wanted to play well. And the human element of what happened last night is a little bit overlooked. But we have a championship to talk about for Seattle. We've got big news here in Vegas. Clint Kubiak is now going to be introduced as early as tomorrow as the new head coach of the Raiders. And Max Crosby has told Tom Brady, according to Jason La Canfora, that he's out. He will never play for the Raiders ever again. We're going to jump down the rabbit hole and take a look at next year's NFL odds because they are interesting. They are pretty interesting, where the books have placed not the champs in Seattle, but some other teams, some AFC teams with first-year head coaches. It feels like the market might be buying in to the coaching changes as to what they might look like going forward. So we're going to do all that today. 50 coming up here in about 15 minutes, but we start the program like we do almost every program with the opening line. All right, we'll get into all this with Fitzy in like the Patriot side of things as to how he sees the way the game went last night. But our top 5 post Super Bowl 60 storylines, it has to begin with the long shot odds of these Seahawks and what they were able to do. They become at 60-1. They become tied with the Carolina Hurricanes in 2006 for how improbable it was for them to win a championship. The Rams in 99, the Patriots would have been in that category. If they had won last night, they would have been just behind the 99 Rams, who won it all and then lost it the next year. The Twins 80-1 in 1991, the Marlins 75-1 in 2003. That 01 Patriots team was 60-1. Patriots were 90-1 this year. Rangers in 2023 were 50-1, and so on and so on. We didn't really see this coming in the preseason. And that's what's fun, that we did not have a team that everyone was 100% behind the entire year. If you remember, I didn't bet the 14-1 ticket for Seattle to win the Super Bowl. I didn't bet that until November 5th, to be exact, is when I made that bet. And we had been talking here every Tuesday. We had been doing, on Mondays, we were doing the top 5 storylines from the weekend. And then Tuesday, I was doing a top 5 NFL power rating. And I'll keep doing that next year. I love that Monday, Tuesday. And we got, I think it was 2 straight weeks where we had been taking the Colts, and then the Seahawks were like 2 and 3. And then once they got to number 1, you looked at the numbers, they had a top 5 scoring offense. They had a top 5 scoring defense. They were great in the red zone. They were great pressuring the quarterback. I mean, Mike McDonald had them playing really well on the East Coast. They had been dominant away from home. In fact, they were better on the road than they were at home. And so I said, you know what? At 14-1, we got to take it. I was late to the party. There's numerous people out there this morning who are waking up with 50, 40, 30-1 tickets on Seattle, but they were long shots, and the books don't take big bets on long shots. So yeah, while it's bet small, win big, they don't have the volume that you have on the Bills, on the Chiefs, on the Cowboys. I mean, people start betting it today for their team next year. And it's always the same cast of characters, the big ticket, high profile quarterbacks that get all the action. Sam Darnold, nobody was buying Sam Darnold to win a championship. Come on, before Josh Allen, before Lamar Jackson, Sam Darnold, that Jets quarterback, is going to win a Super Bowl. The guy that the Vikings had and won 14 games last year, Geno Smith, wanted out. Geno Smith, the Seahawks wanted to keep Geno Smith. They didn't want to trade him. They didn't want him to walk. They wanted to keep Geno Smith. They had to go get Sam Darnold. He fell into their lap because the Vikings let him go. I mean, it is a remarkable story when you think about how they got to the Super Bowl and then won it last night with Sam Darnold. And I mean, it was the right play. Don't let him hurt you. And he had a couple of throws. If Marcus Jones, who jumped the route in the first quarter, if he picks that off, he's walking into the end zone for a pick 6, and it may be a totally different night. But would have, could have, should have, might have, doesn't matter in sports. What happened? What happened was Darnold played well enough. He played well enough. Number 2, and we're going to spend a whole lot of time over the next couple of months talking about the shoulder of Drake Maye. How hurt was Drake Maye? Because now we're getting the Florios of the world, and we're getting the gambling, anti-gambling conversations. Pro Football Talk, the handling of Drake Maye, the shoulder injury, is another example of the kind of inside information that will inevitably lead to a major gambling scandal for the NFL. Drake Maye did receive a pain-killing injection in the shoulder before the Super Bowl, and clearly the touch and the accuracy that made Drake Maye a great quarterback was not there last night. Wasn't there in the whole playoffs. He hurt the shoulder before the game against Denver. He re-injured it in the game against Denver, and he did not play well. However, I think if we obsess over the shoulder injury, There's only a couple of people in the world who really know how hurt that shoulder is. Like Drake Maye's wife, she knows, Vrabel knows, and most likely Josh McDaniels knows. Like everyone else is just watching and they're talking about what he looks like, but they don't really know because Drake Maye's not going to tell everyone. And the idea that inside information is new in the NFL and it's new to gambling is ridiculous. Inside information has been going on and traded for decades in the NFL. Like, this is what people pay for. This is what the syndicates have paid for forever. So is it that we'll uncover it now and shine a light into a dark corner and all the rats will scurry? I mean, maybe, but I am not so naive that I'm going to sit here and say that inside information is new to the NFL and somehow that's going to lead to some big betting scandal. The only way it would lead to a betting scandal that would make it new, in my mind, is if Drake Maye was in on it. If Drake Maye decides, I'm going to tell a gambling syndicate, I'm going to get paid to tell them my shoulder is messed up. Okay, that's a gambling scandal. That would be new. But just the shoulder being hurt, everyone's hurt. They've been playing 17 regular season games. They played 3 playoff games. They played 21 football games. He's 23 years of age. He played at North Carolina. They weren't playing a bunch of playoff games at North Carolina. They were playing 12 games in a bowl game. All right. He basically played 2 college seasons this year. You don't think Will Campbell's knee has been taking injection after injection? Every player, I guarantee you, go through Sam Darnold, go through Kenneth Walker, go through Jackson Smith-Njigba, like go through all the players. Nobody's healthy. No one is healthy. By the time you get to the Super Bowl, you're just hoping to be 80%, 75%. Drake Maye was not 75% last night, but I don't think it mattered, to be quite honest. The offensive line couldn't block anybody. Drake Maye looked indecisive most of the game. And when he did rear back to rip it, I thought he didn't have his signature touch of the football that made Drake Maye so good. The accuracy was gone. He was missing. I mean, he missed Hooper on a play with his back to the goal line that could have been a 50-yard completion. He threw on the second interception. It was up for grabs. I have no idea where he was throwing that football. I thought Chris Collinsworth had a horrendous game because the game was bad, and thus he couldn't have his signature laugh and break down and, oh my God, Mike, can you believe this guy? Crap. So I thought that was bad. I thought the broadcast was bad. The game was bad. That's why people were getting frustrated and angry, just because it was one of the most boring, and my team was in it, and I'll admit it, it was one of the most boring games that we've seen in a Super Bowl. The Seahawks saw a weakness in left tackle Will Campbell, and they attacked it. Like any good defense would, they attacked it. And that's what great coaches do. According to Next Gen Stats, 14 quarterback pressures allowed by Will Campbell in the Super Bowl was the most pressures allowed by any player in a game this season, including the postseason. The most pressures in any game in the NFL that Will Campbell allowed. They bull rushed him, like straight up bull rushed him. Drake Maye never had a chance to showcase his best stuff because of that. He also had a tendency to show nerves early, which he did. Needs to improve there. He did in the AFC Championship game. Hits and pass rushes were already mounting. There isn't a quarterback on the planet who can absorb 21 sacks over 4 playoff games. The first 4 is a career, no less, and be at his best. That's from Jeff Howe of The Athletic. Yeah, I think that's a good point. He was hit a ton all playoffs long. And we're going to talk about Will Campbell, and it'll be a Patriot conversation, a little bit inside school, that, you know, kicking a left tackle into a guard. And it's not just because of the arm length for Will Campbell. It's because he's not that big of a man. Left tackles, and realistically, left tackles right now, like there's probably 10 legitimate left tackles in football. It's one of the more difficult positions to find a player to come in and play. And that's why the Patriots drafted Will Campbell. Is he going to be a left tackle long-term? I don't know. Only he will be able to determine that by work ethic. And does he get bigger, stronger, and faster? Because clearly the Seahawks said, this rookie who is on one bad knee, we're not buying he can stop any one of our guys. And they were right, because Will Campbell got completely bull rushed and pushed back into Drake Maye consistently. It wasn't just about the hits on Drake Maye or the sacks. It was how often Drake Maye felt the pressure. And that I went back and watched a videotape of every pass attempt for Drake Maye and all of the pass pro for Will Campbell. It wasn't as bad as I thought. There were some really bad misses, but overall, it more showed that Drake Maye played a really poor game, that Drake Maye was really skittish last night. And that's a tribute to the defense. It's also because when you get hurt, you're 23 years old, you've never had an arm injury before. We'll find out how bad the shoulder really is. But if Drake Maye has a torn labrum, Drake Maye is out for next year. Drake Maye will not play for the Patriots next year. He will miss an entire season. So what is the injury to the shoulder? Is it just an impingement? Is it just a something of an AC joint sprain? Like, what is the injury that Drake Maye was dealing with? And then I'd want to know, where was the injection? In the front part of the shoulder? In the back of the shoulder? As somebody who is dealing and has taken cortisone shots into my shoulder, and someone who goes to rehab 2 times a week to work on my own shoulder issues, my right shoulder, my throwing shoulder, I can tell you, it sucks when you don't have mobility in your shoulder. It's really difficult when it's, I'm dealing with a torn pec and thus a frozen shoulder, but it's no fun. He's a pro football, a quarterback playing the biggest game of his life, and his shoulder won't do what he's asking it to do. And so you saw the velocity of the football. It came out weirdly. It didn't come out the way it normally did for Drake Maye. He was missing open receivers during the season. He never did. So while the pass rush was intense, while it was great, Drake Maye also was inaccurate. He played poorly. So it contributed. It made the defense for Seattle look that much better, in my opinion. I think they were great with the pass rush, but they were open receivers all over the field, and Drake Maye missed them. Consistently missed him. And even on throws to the running backs, it wasn't in the right place. Throws to the tight ends weren't in the right place. And that's what made him so good. So we'll see. Is this a Dan Marino type situation? Dan Marino, his rookie year, Drake Maye is the second youngest quarterback to ever play in a Super Bowl. Dan Marino being number 1, he never made it back. Went to 1, never made it back. Is this the beginning of something great for Drake Maye, or was that it? Was that the pinnacle of his career and the way that he played? Only time will tell. Everyone can say Drake Maye's got the it factor and Drake Maye is going to be great, but how often, this morning, have you seen videos about people talking about Sam Darnold, about how bad Sam Darnold is? And Sam Darnold's number 4. He wasn't good last night. He was just good enough. 19 for 38 for 202 yards and a touchdown. The biggest thing was he didn't throw a pick. That was the biggest thing last night for Sam Darnold. He didn't throw an interception. If he had been picked off, the game may have gone differently. But as I said before the game, the Patriots could not have a single turnover, and they had 3. 1 fumble, 2 interceptions, 1 pick 6. Like, you aren't winning football games in a Super Bowl playing like that. I don't care how well you play. So the Patriots couldn't run the ball, or rather, Josh McDaniels had the worst game of the season for him calling the game. I felt like he was frantic. And sometimes if your quarterback is hurt, you're not calling the right plays. Clint Kubiak was okay last night. It was all about Kenneth Walker and what Kenneth Walker did. It wasn't like Kubiak was calling great plays. Kenneth Walker had the ability to bounce the ball to the outside, because running up the middle was nothing against the Patriots. As I talked about all 2 weeks, the A gap and the B gap for Milton Williams and Christian Barmore, they ate last night. Milton Williams in the backfield the entire game. He got a solo sack, which cashed a plus 210 bet for me. He was all over the place. The difference in the game was Kenneth Walker. I mean, he was tremendous. First time a running back winning the MVP in the game in 28 years, going back to Terrell Davis with the Denver Broncos was the last time. It's also the first time his father ever attended a game, which is crazy, on top of the fact that Kenneth Walker is a free agent. You want to talk about a good time to do that. Oh my gosh. Equally, and we'll get to it when we jump down the rabbit hole. This offseason for Seattle is going to be really interesting. Kenneth Walker is a free agent. JSN is up for a new deal, and the team is for sale. Adam Schefter reported this morning on ESPN that the Seahawks could fetch $10 billion. That's a B. $10 billion for whoever wants to buy the team. That would be the largest price tag in sports history. $10 billion for the Seahawks, because Paul Allen, who passed away as part of the trust, it was required that the team be sold. The team has not been sold yet by Jody Allen, his wife, and now she wins the Super Bowl and the lottery in a lot of ways, because now there's going to be a bidder coming in for potentially the largest price tag ever after winning the Super Bowl. So that's going to be really fascinating to see how that entire thing, how that all plays out. So look, congratulations to Seattle. Unbelievable. If you want to see two Patriot fans cry and just sort of whine about what happened, early this morning, I talked to our guy Fitzy about where the Patriots went wrong last night and where they go from here. When we booked this, we thought this might be a celebratory conversation. It is not going to be a celebratory conversation. Fitzy from WEEI in Boston joining us once again here on BVB. Well, Fitzy, I don't know what to do with that and where to start with that, except that the Patriots offense really had a rough day. From a 30,000-foot perspective, how do you sum up last night?
Yeah, well, we had all of the production ready last night for the post-game show to roll into the Seven Rings post-game show, but that audio, along with all of the New England Patriots Super Bowl 60 championship merchandise, will be shipped off later today to the children of the Ukraine, Nicaragua, and parts unknown. And from a 30,000-foot perspective, forward-looking, I don't know if we'll be talking about a Seven Rings post-game show or Seven Rings in the hands of Robert Kraft and the Kraft family, and seven banners in the other end zone opposite the world's most useless lighthouse and giant jumbotron television. Because I think some issues that were somehow glossed over in the quote fool's gold, middle of the mall product of the schedule New England Patriots, who are far from fraudulent, but certainly were the beneficiaries of a lot of other teams' injuries, misfortune, and mistakes, were exposed on the grandest scale last night in a game that many are calling one of the lamest and most boring championship presentations possible. Now, you might ask also right now, like, well, why am I not angrier? Why am I not more upset? Why do I not look like I slept in a dumpster under a bridge? And I feel like, well, A, that my nerve center was probably hit with whatever was left over that they injected into Drake Maye's shoulder last night, be it Toradol, cortisone, lidocaine, etc. But also, maybe deep down, Matt, in a lot of ways, we were sort of expecting this, and that while we tried to give an emotional Heisman to all the people that said, guys, this is not really a good matchup for the Patriots. Like, Seattle's a 4.5-point favorite and maybe kind of should be a bigger favorite. 35-45 at the Athletic pick the Seahawks to win outright and cover. What was it? 47 out of 57 at ESPN. And yet still, we did what we always do, which is ignore the noise and, rally the troops and hate us because you ain't us, New England versus everyone. Well, this turned out this time, everyone was kind of correct. And there's a lot to sift through. There are positives from an incredible season and an improbable run, dude. But at the same time, there's a lot to sort of sift through and now, micro-analyze and figure out bad game, unfortunate errors, or team that actually needs a little more work than you would think a team that made it all the way to the Super Bowl needs.
Yeah, I think for me, what led me to pick the Patriots, and just because in my betting history, watching everyone run in one direction. The public this year got annihilated by the books. And the books, it didn't matter who won, Patriots or Seahawks, because both were complete long shots, two of the longest shots ever to make the Super Bowl. And so this, from a future standpoint, the books didn't care who won. So for them, it was just move the money, take the bets, move the line.
Right.
And to me, I'm watching it going, okay, the Patriots have a really good chance of covering a 4.5, 5.5 point line. And so we saw a lot of money come in early, and then a lot of money came in late on the Patriots. A lot of Seahawks money came in early, and the Patriot money came in late. As I thought it would. It closed at 4.5. The total closed at 45.5, and the game could have gone over if it wasn't for the holding penalty where the referees decided to do their job finally and throw a flag on the on the Seahawks for holding.
So what you're saying is, pardon my interruption. So what you're saying is the line, much like, quote, below the belt on most Patriots fans Sunday night, never moved.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Never moved. And the referees didn't do their job either until they decided to want to get involved when it came to the total. But that's here nor there. I think, and I want to start with the Drake Maye conversation, because I saw Bill Simmons ask this question last night, and it's one that's been in my brain as well. What happened to Drake Maye? Are we going to be able to say that Drake Maye's shoulder was the reason why he was missing open wide receivers? Was it the offensive line and the inability to have him be comfortable? Was it the fact that he's 23 and he's the second youngest quarterback ever to play in this game? Dan Marino was in his one Super Bowl and lost it and never got back, never played it again. And, is it youth? Like, how do you quantify what happened with Drake Maye in the postseason?
My very simple answer to all of that is yes.
Okay.
I am a card-carrying member of the two things can be true at once club. And in this particular case, I think it's a double two things can be true at once. Like, this might be 3, 4, 5 things all being relevant, true, and applicable. Like, Andy Hart brought up a good point on the post-game show last night. Like, this now makes us call into question, like, all right, kid, so when you were a sophomore at UNC, you led the nation in total yards from scrimmage. And then the next season, it wasn't just because you lost Josh Downs. I mean, you still had Omari and Hampton. You had the same head coach and offensive play caller.
Yeah, but it didn't have Tez Walker. I would push back on that because I covered that team really closely.
Yeah.
Junior year to senior year, they had built the whole offense around Tez Walker, and the NCAA didn't clear Tez Walker till week 7. So there is a narrative there.
Losing it. Okay. Well, he didn't necessarily.
I bet him. I was actually in charge of covering North Carolina for a website from a betting perspective. So I watched every game for Carolina.
You think, did that have that much of an impact?
Huge. It changed everything, because once go look at the stats as when Tez Walker was cleared by the NCAA, and it was because of the clearinghouse and transfer portal rules before the NIL thing kicked in. It changed a lot. So I get the narrative that things changed junior, senior year, but there was a lot of other stuff going on at Carolina that caused that offense not to look the same.
Well, the devil's always in the details, and that's a good detail that can help dispel a narrative that is probably going to chase Drake and the Patriots for the next couple of days or weeks to come, as people look to reverse engineer, why did this happen? And were we always looking past things that were red flags or check engine lights in his football history, be it amateur? Well, college football is not really amateur anymore, or professional as well. Right. But I hate to say it, but I feel like you have to just put together a big board of blame. The shoulder was not right. No, look at all of those throws on Sunday night. I remember Phil Perry reporting this was kind of trending in the direction of being listed on the injury report heading into the Denver game, let alone after he got folded like a broken beach chair by Ufongo in the AFC Championship. And he did have to get shot up. Healthy people don't get large needles of numbing agents before the biggest game of their life, or just in general, unless something is wrong. He's side-arming some throws. He's missing wildly over, the velocity control was bad, probably because he was like, oh, my arm, it's broken, or I can't feel nothing, coach. He was dinged up. So, now, but as to that being the main reason, no, the offensive line was terrible. Yes, Drake played in terrible weather all through the postseason, and sadly now he finishes the postseason with the worst EPA for a quarterback that played 3 or more games on the way to the Super Bowl, which is a bummer. Now, I'm not going to tell you now necessarily what that means, but a lot of people with bigger analytical minds tell me that EPA is very important. And I know it. It's just one of those acronyms that we all espouse and bandy about these days. in modern professional sports dialogue. What really does matter that is easy to see is Will Campbell had the single worst game a left tackle has ever had in the Super Bowl. He gave up 14 pressures. 14. I mean, Drake Maye was sacked 6 times, so he finishes the postseason the most sacked quarterback ever on a Super Bowl run with 21. A 21 sack salute to the poor kid. So he was getting battered. Now the clock gets sped up. And, you know, everyone's going to go with the whole like, oh, I guess it was Drake who was seeing ghosts after all, not Sam Darnold. He got hesitant. Yeah, he didn't trust his line. It seems like he wasn't comfortable with the game plan. McDaniels had a terrible night. And also, did you know this? This is another one of those ones that someone surfaced late on the socials because I was up till all the wee hours. And then the kids don't drive themselves to school the next morning, funny enough. So I'm about as underslept as the rest of you all out there right now. But Josh McDaniels, in coordinating and coaching in Super Bowls, Matt, has for 10 times he's been there, right? He has a grand total of 3 points as offensive coordinator in those 10 Super Bowls that he's coached in. 3. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Slow starts. Holy smokes.
It's not an abnormality in Super Bowls. I mean, I think if you look at the way that most Super Bowls start, they are somewhat conservative and they are somewhat slower. I mean, the Seahawks scored 3 points on their first drive and then really, didn't do much the next couple of drives. And then they got another field goal. And I think we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on the offense. I think the public and the media will spend a lot of time focusing on the offense. But I came away with an incredible appreciation for what that defense looked like and how good that defense played, because they had an unbelievable game plan and an unbelievable game. And if they had turned the football over in the first half, I truly believe that game would have looked much different. And that's why they beat Denver. It's what they didn't do against the Seahawks. And Sam Darnold, just like the first pass of the AFC Championship game for Drake Maye wasn't picked off. If the Patriots had been picked off there, maybe it's Denver in this game or in last night, but they didn't. Right. And the Patriots didn't pick off Sam Darnold. And if they had, I think it could have been a different game, because Darnold was putting the ball in harm's way left and right. Like in the first half, he was begging to be intercepted.
He was doing Sam Darnold things all over the place in the first half. And Marcus Jones, if he gets that first one that you're talking about, just like Drake Maye almost gave Denver one back in the AFC Championship, Marcus Jones gets that one. He waltzes backwards into the end zone. All of a sudden, I'm cashing my Marcus Jones anytime touchdown prop. Wow. And I'm starting to feel pretty good about the beer money that I threw on Marcus Jones for Super Bowl MVP at 60-1. So that would have been nice as well.
And that's sports, though, right? I mean,
of course, that's
sports.
It's the sliding doors. Idea behind one play creates a butterfly effect surrounding everything else. Like Sam Darnold, by no stretch, had a dynamite game, but you know what Sam Darnold did? He did not turn the ball over. He came close. I think he wanted to give the Patriots one. It's like Super Bowl 46. The Giants fumbled a ton of times. Every single one literally bounced back into their hands. Like the Patriots did all the things back during the Mark Anderson, Andre Carter pass rush with Julian Edelman playing safety of 2011 and a gimpy Gronk in Super Bowl 46. All the balls just bounced back into the Giants' hands. Tonight, last night, the fortune, the odds were ever in the favor of the Seahawks. Sam Darnold didn't turn the ball over, but like Milton Williams, if Chason gets re-signed, love that guy as well. Obviously, the safeties, the Woodson, the safety, the rookie safety, who's like, older than most of the defense, like from California. That kid's good. Christian Gonzalez, whatever his agent was thinking about asking for, I would bump it up by $1 million or $2 million and just walk in with one of those grand prize bank oversized novelty checks and just say, Mr. Kraft, stretch variable, just sign here. That's fine. That guy's he played his best game, I think, that I've seen him play on a big stage as well. So Patriots defense, I have no issues with. Tackling was a little suspect at times. Yeah. And shout out and salute to Kenneth Walker for being one slippery mofo as far as like running up the gut and then finding a way to deceptively bounce it on the outside. Did see a great tweet last night that said the New England Patriots probably win that game if Zach Charbonnet is still healthy. Isn't that funny that their offense got better when they didn't rely on Charbonnet as the change of pace and pass catching back? and leaned on Walker. He had 27 carries in the Super Bowl. I think that was a season high for him.
Yeah, he was great, and he was deserving of the MVP. And I think that's kind of the point that I'll make most of the week about, the Darnold versus Drake Maye conversation, is that the MVP was Kenneth Walker, and it was the ability. The Patriots did what I thought they were going to do. They pressured the A gap and the B gap. Milton Williams had a sack. I bet that at plus 210. So that came in.
Yep.
And so like the Patriots defense did exactly what I thought they were going to do against the Seattle offense. It's just that the Patriot offense never was able to get rolling, except for those two pass plays to Hollis over the top. That was like pass touchdowns. Like, where
is
was
that?
The
all-time garbage? By the way, is that the all-time garbage fourth quarter? Like, everybody, like, guys, please spare me the Instagram post, like most yards ever in a quarter in Super Bowl history. Yeah, he had 235 of his 295 yards passing in the fourth quarter, but it didn't mean that. Didn't mean it was over. I mean, so it's 19-0. The game is over.
Yeah. I mean, the pick six ended it. I mean, that was really an unfortunate bad break. I mean, the ball goes straight into a guy's gut, and he just happens to like, oh wow, the ball, and then it winds up being a pick six. So that was unfortunate and then the one touchdown toss, the Patriots just were blitzing Darnold like crazy, and so they, the guy leaks out and he's wide open in the end zone. If you don't get home on a blitz, that tends to happen. But what do you do with Will Campbell? So we're all going to talk about Drake Maye's shoulder, but the Will Campbell knee injury conversation is starting to bubble up. That before he injured his knee, Will Campbell was highly effective as the left tackle for the Patriots. He showed some promise, and then as the year progressed, he got less and less impressive. And then Mike McDonald completely exposed him by going ahead and just overloading the side and getting after Drake Maye all night long. Do you kick him inside? Did you try to go and sign a left tackle and find somebody, or do you go into the draft and take a left tackle? What do you do with the left side of the line in your mind?
I'm going to do just like that giant guy did to Jared Wilson. I forget the name of the kid from Notre Dame, who literally picked him up and threw him into Drake Maye for Drake's second sack. And Drake, by the way, I mean, the Patriots offense, 51 yards in the first half, 78 yards through three quarters, 39 yards in the first. Drake was sacked 3 times in the first 20 minutes of regulation. Like, it was just ugly. It was such an unpleasant watch. But Jared Wilson, congratulations. You take one step to the right, sir. Garrett Bradbury, take one step back. And thanks for coming in and doing a Ryan Wendell impersonation and holding things down for a year. But I think we're good with the Garrett Bradbury experiment. Jared Wilson was a safety in college. Please return to your natural position. Will Campbell, take a step to the right. You, sir, are a left guard, just like everyone else. Like, I want to say it like in the Tom Hanks voice of Woody the cowboy from Toy Story, like, you are a guard. It's just so clearly obvious. Like, he's a strong kid. He definitely needs to bulk up, put on a little weight in the offseason. He's got the attitude, he's got the disposition, the teammates love him. The chemistry, the camaraderie, and the emotional unity and fortification that Mike Vrabel put forth into this team talked about. It wasn't an accident. Like, what they were able to do together in their belief and their teamwork is not an accident. Like, they were super opportunistic and they played smart, heady football all year. But when it came down to it, and you had you were matched up against a team equally intelligent, equally unified, that was stronger, faster, and more fundamentally sound, you lost. So you just need more size, you need more strong, and you need more talent. I'm going into the free agency pool and I'm drafting a left tackle because I think old man Moses too, as well as he played for parts of the postseason, like Morgan Moses is about to be 35. Like, he definitely can smell the hot dogs on 17 that are cooking on the 19th hole, if you know what I mean. Like, he's about ready to start cracking a couple at the clubhouse, and good for him. Like, better year than I thought they would have had. But for, I've seen people pushing back against the narrative. It's silly to say Will Campbell should be kicked into guard. You got, like, he had a promising start to the season and the injury. I don't believe it's as much about the injury, Matt, as I do when he came back. Who did he go up against? Khalil Mack and Will Anderson and Nick Bonito and the entirety of Mike McDonald and the dark side. And that's just it. He was not good enough. He will improve over time. He's going to age up. He'll pick up some tricks of the trade, put on some size, some pounds and some power in the offseason. But that's where that all begins. Isn't it so funny? So many different angles to discuss. And this game really just came down to good old-fashioned boring football USA. They were faster, stronger, and smarter, and the Patriots lost in the trenches right from Jump Street.
We'll end it with where we started. You mentioned the fact that it could be a while for the Patriots to have a 7th championship, and we've seen 6 wins and 6 losses with the Patriots. And really, I mean, they've been in 10 Super Bowls since 2001. It's ridiculous when you stop and think about how many. I mean, over the last 25, 26 seasons, it's been all New England basically in this game. But how do you feel about their future? Because next year it's a first place schedule, and it does feel like this franchise was fortunate to get breaks on their way. I mean, are we talking about potentially in LA, Atlanta, Vegas? Like, do you think the Patriots are in the conversation for another Super Bowl in the coming years?
First things first, to all the Jets fans, Doll fans, Bills Mafia members and whatnot that were jumping for joy last night, you would kill for just a drop of our pain. Your envy stinks like mayonnaise left in the sun. You rotten, miserable trolls. I mean, Matt and I are both, like so many other Pats fans, people that graduated cum laude from "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never loved at all." University, you jerks. So, come on. I even have a Jets fan in my neighborhood who I talk sports, watch movies, and exchange craft beers with, guys in their 40s do.
Yes.
He texted me last night before the game. He's like, I'm wearing my Curtis Martin jersey, and I have to do the one thing that my Jets fan programming tells me to do, root against the Patriots, because I can't, even though I love you, I just can't see them celebrate again. And I texted him in the fourth quarter. I was like, well, I guess you got what you want. He's like, buddy, this game has been so boring and has been such a lousy Super Bowl party. I'm actually not enjoying the Patriots losing as much as I thought I would have. So sorry. Sorry, we were not able to provide. Yeah. Are you sorry you were not entertained, sir? But as far as going forward, anyone of the Stephen A-holes and the Cam Newtons and everyone else that wants to tap dance on the Patriots' grave today and play the told you so, fine. Good. Take your lap. Good for you guys. That's all well and good. There's your little treat and your just desserts. But for the team itself going forward, like you said, first place schedule next year, a couple of key free agents, but not so many that you lose the core of the Elliott Wolf, Mike Vrabel, John Stryker, rebuilt offense and defense, just roster overall. You got your draft. You still have a ton of money to spend. I think they'll be fine in terms of staying competitive. But do I see them back at SoFi next year representing the AFC? I mean, there's a couple of guys, Mahomes, Lamar, Joey Burrow, a lot of other teams. Like, even look to, I don't know, the Jags. Liam Cohen finished right nip and tuck just beneath Mike Vrabel for Coach of the Year. Like, the Jags are going to be heard from. The Texans, I'm dying to see what the Texans do. Like, is Stroud it, or do they decide, like, we got to go find somebody else in the draft or trade for someone's quarterback? The Chargers, I think Mike McDaniel, like, it'll be fun to revisit this later on in free agency, the draft and whatnot. Getting Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator on a Jim Harbaugh team that's going to have Najee Harris, Kamani Vidal, and Omarion Hampton, plus Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt on the line. And also, the Broncos, like, it's not that the Pats blew their chance. This was probably their best chance to, like, surprise everybody and get there. And like you said, a ball bounces one way. Drake sees the game differently. It all sped up. It was too much, too fast, too soon for them. And now I think they probably do take a step back. But a few, maybe 2-3 seasons from now, I'd be putting my money where my mouth is. But for next season, that's gonna be a tall one, Nordberg. You're gonna have to give me some time on that one.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I mean, the odds will tell you so. I mean, if you look at the Bills come in at 12-1, the Chiefs are 16-1, the Patriots are 17-1. The number one team for the AFC are the Baltimore Ravens at 12-1, and the Bills are 12-1. So,
really?
Yeah, so it's kind of surprising that the Ravens were the first-year head coach, the Bills were the first-year head coach. The Chargers are 15-1 from an AFC standpoint. The Seahawks and the Rams are the odds-on favorite to go and win. But I mean, look, it's February. We have a long way to go before we get to the draft. And
don't forget, the Eagles also now under Sirianni have a funny knack of going to a Super Bowl, crapping the bed in the postseason the next year, going to the Super Bowl. So if history repeats itself, I would watch out for the Eagles as well. The Patriots could, did anyone really scare? Like, I would love to know if Mike McDonald, in addition to like, oh, we're just going to flood that rookie side of the line and just ruin Drake's night, and they did. But I would love to know from the Seattle defensive coaching perspective, did anyone on the Patriots offense really scare you?
No. And they made plays, but they didn't scare you. They didn't scare you. And so, like, Henderson had a couple of big plays. Stevenson, I thought Josh McDaniels, you mentioned it earlier, had a horrific night. I thought his play calling was really inconsistent, and I don't think they had a real way of attacking the defense the way you'd want it to. But the Patriots obviously need to go and add weapons for Drake Maye, and they have a quarterback. We know this now. They need to go build the offensive line, and then they got to go get playmakers, and they've got a lot of money to go and do it. And Kyle Williams, who was a nice piece that they drafted, and we thought he was going to have a bigger role in the postseason, disappeared. Right. He was gone. Like, they never used him.
One catch last night.
Travion Henderson was a big weapon early in the year, and then he really disappeared. They used him late in garbage time last night, so he went over his props, but that was because of garbage time. So, like, there was just a lot of things that went into this where I'm like, okay, they were so young, and you look at the Seahawks, and they were so veteran, and they were so guys in their prime, 27, 28, 29 years of age, that next season, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have a lot of fun. But this was one of my favorite Patriot teams of all time because it felt like the 2013 Red Sox that nobody saw coming, and they won the championship. And then in 2018, and 5 years later, that was the team we're like, oh, okay, that team was really good, and went and won the World Series.
Yeah, like the Detroit Tigers with Justin Verlander. It takes the David Ortiz grand slam and then the bullpen cop and everything else. That team was not even arguably a better team that was more primed and prepared for the World Series. But things like the bad pitch to Ortiz with the bases loaded on Ken Tompkins night went their way. Mike Napoli getting the one solo home run for the 1-0 win off Verlander. And that team was magical, and they had all of their great free agents. They signed Napoli and Victorino and Johnny Gomes, all to like the same contracts basically. And I felt that's, in a lot of ways, that might be the most recent and relevant apt Boston sports comp, not the 2001 Patriots, and that's exactly how it played out, except this time when they got to the World Series, the other team was super prepared, unlike the St. Louis Cardinals back in 2013. And I'll just sort of like leave you with this. Yes, the framework has been established, groundwork laid, trenches have been dug for a team that is not going to get their doors blown off, not going to embarrass you, that's going to make you proud during the Drake Maye, Mike Vrabel era for years to come. So I'm full well expecting lots of entertaining, competitive football that merits quality dialogue in the bar rooms, the barrages, and the breweries all across Patriots Nation. But it is sort of weird that Drake Maye worshipped Cam Newton and went to the Super Bowl 10 years ago in that same stadium and saw his then idol get his ass handed to him by a superior defensive team that was ready, who had just knocked off Tom Brady. And now Drake takes them back 10 years later in the same uniform as Tom Brady and gets his proverbial junk handed to him by a defensively superior team. Insert Matthew McConaughey from True Detective time as a flat circle, my friend.
Very true. Fitzy, great to see you. Thank you for the time on a busy Monday. Appreciate you. I'm sure we'll talk again very soon. The draft, heck, it's only 2 months away from the draft, so football never stops. Appreciate your time.
No better guy to spend the morning, MOURNING, after with than you, my guy. Talk soon. Go Pats.
That was our conversation with Fitzy from WEEI here on the Bostonian versus the Book. Hopefully you guys enjoyed catching up with Fitzy, one of our regulars whenever the Patriots are involved. And I think he said it for a lot of us who are Patriot fans. It's just one of those situations where it's like, okay, let's see what happens. Excuse me. Sorry. It doesn't happen very often. I apologize. But normally those are fun, lighthearted conversations. Not today, obviously, in the wake of what happened to the Patriots. It was a tough day, tough night for the Patriots. Congratulations again to Seattle. Heck of a performance by that defense. Patriots have a lot of questions going forward. Let's talk about a different topic involving the NFL. So let's talk about what happened this weekend. And really, there's going to be a massive conversation here in Vegas, and it's going to take over the entire league because the conversation around Max Crosby is quite crazy. Jason La Canfora reported yesterday that Max Crosby has declared that he will never play for the Raiders ever again. He has told Tom Brady such that he will never play for the Raiders again. The Raiders don't have to trade Max. They just gave him a contract extension a year ago. So they're under no pressure to trade him. But if he doesn't want to play for the Raiders and he opts to do, I don't know, the sit out, if he plays the Micah Parsons line of I'm not playing for you regardless, and the Raiders have to trade Max Crosby, I'm in favor of trading Max Crosby anyway. I mean, even if Max didn't want to be traded, I would still be in favor of trading Max Crosby. I think Max Crosby on the Raiders next year is a waste. I don't think he should be. He's a tremendous football player. Max should be on a contender, and the Raiders are not going to be a contender, not for a while. And I'm not buying, like, I feel like the Patriots are now with what Mike Vrabel did with 30 new, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't know what that is banging. Something like my cat's banging on a door. I thought that scared the heck out of me. Sorry. 30 new players, like turning the roster over the way the Patriots did with a first-year head coach and a second-year quarterback. I feel like people in the NFL are going to be like, okay, that's the barometer now. Like, that's the standard. That's what we're going to take the temperature of our team. Clint Kubiak has never been a head coach before. He's drafting a rookie to be the quarterback in Mendoza coming in. They have no offensive line. They have a defensive player in Max Crosby, but realistically, there's not much else there for the Raiders. I would burn the whole thing to the ground. There's not a single player, and that includes Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty. There's not a single player I would keep if I had a chance to upgrade if I were the Raiders. Like, there's nobody on that roster that makes me say, I'm not moving this player for anything. And if Max Crosby wants off, then I'm trading Max Crosby. Now, what do you get from a return perspective? Who knows? But I think there's going to be a laundry list of teams that would be interested in a player like Max Crosby. He is a defensive changing weapon. If you add Max Crosby to the Bills, to the Eagles, to the Bears, I mean, just look at the number of teams, the Patriots, like look at the number of teams that are in need of a dynamic pass rusher who can change a game with a single play, who can strip sack a quarterback on any snap. Like this is 100% the biggest ticket free agent on the market this offseason. And so I would have shopped him anyway. I also would trade the pick, though. I mean, I'm in the minority here. I would also trade the pick. I wouldn't draft Mendoza. I don't think Mendoza's a number one pick overall quarterback. I may be completely wrong. I love the kid. I love the attitude. I love the intensity. I love his whole approach to life. I think he's a leader, a natural born leader. I just don't think the kid's going to be in today's NFL. He's not mobile enough for my liking to be a quarterback that can really play the position in today's NFL. I think he's a throwback. So, I mean, Kubiak, I guess, loves the kid and likes the kid because he's taking the job with the Raiders and becoming the head coach. But I would make the Jets go up and get him, or I would trade back for picks, and I would include Max Crosby on the trade conversation, and I would trade the number one pick, and I would trade Max Crosby, and I would try to hit on as many free agents as possible and try to rebuild that way. The Raiders have up to $100 million in free agency. You can rebuild this roster very fast here in Vegas, but you must hit on the players that you bring in. Max Crosby has gone through 3 separate coaching. This is the 4th coaching regime he will go through. I just think he's burned out. He's played out and burned out here in Las Vegas. And so he could bring back maybe multiple first-round picks. I'm trading Max Crosby. I'm shopping him. I'm seeing what I can get. I want to get as much possible. So it would be great. Yeah, I don't know if Diana Rossini is the one that reported this, that Max Crosby wants to play for Mike Vrabel. I don't know what's going on with all this. I mean, remember Max Crosby turned around and went, I think it was on McAfee. He went on some show while I was in San Francisco and wore Raider gear, was in the Raiders organization, was in the building. And Max Crosby was like, I don't know what everyone's doing. They're all talking about me. No one's speaking for me. I'm a Raider. Stop talking about me, blah, blah, blah. So, yep. And you're right, GB Football, that there is the line of bringing him to Detroit to send him home. That is also a conversation piece. There are a lot of teams out there that I think would mortgage a lot to go get Max Crosby. So if I'm the Raiders, I'm taking advantage of this gift that Max Crosby gave me with the fan base because the fans will villainize him. If Spytek, the GM, had traded Max Crosby, the fan base could be furious at this. Same way that Cowboy fans are furious at Jerry Jones for trading Micah Parsons to the Packers. So this is, if I'm the Raiders, I'm taking the opportunity. I got that window. Let's go. Let's figure this out. Let's go and trade Max Crosby. I 100% would do that, but that's just me. Again, I would trade the first pick overall as well. Let's look at next season's odds. Let's jump down the rabbit hole with the futures market. Our thanks to our friends at Rabbet. They've been with us for a while. Today's the last day for them to be with us for a little bit, but they have been tremendous. If you guys haven't used the code when you sign up, Rabbet5 gets you 5 free Rabbet Cash. Rabbet is a peer-to-peer marketplace that puts you in control. You can stop fighting a computer designed to drain your wallet. Rabbet removes the house entirely. That means no juice and no lopsided odds. You act as the marketplace. You customize the spread. You pick the team. You challenge a friend or the public to take the other side. It's the only app where you truly own your own action. Don't forget about the algorithm. You guys can forget taking down your friends here. Check it out. Rabbet5, the code at sign up to get 5 free Rabbet Cash. Download the Rabbet app on the Google Play or the Apple Store. Let's look at this. Here are your odds for next year's champion. The Seahawks defending champs at plus 750. That's kind of always the case. They've got big questions, though. They've got Witherspoon, they've got JSN, and they've got Kenneth Walker to deal with. 3-star players who all are up for new or bigger deals. The Rams come in behind it 8-1 because Matthew Stafford is coming back. How about the Ravens at 12-1 or the Bills at 12-1? First-year head coaches in both. I disagree with those odds tremendously. The Packers coming in at 13-1. The Chargers at 15-1 is where my eye goes. More on that in a second. The Eagles at 15-1. I like that. The Lions at 16-1. The Chiefs at 16-1. The Patriots come in just behind Kansas City at 17-1. A little ahead of the 49ers. The Broncos at 20-1 is pretty interesting. That feels like a little bit of a long shot. And the Jaguars at 20-1 equally feels like a bit of a long shot. Now, it's early, right? Like this is early. So when we're looking at this the day after the Super Bowl, we all understand like exactly what may happen here and how the marketplace may react to those odds. And nobody really puts down their money right now because no one wants to have their money tied up for a year until next February. So some of those numbers are there, I think, to generate some action potentially. But I don't know if I agree with some of those numbers. Like the Jaguars being 20-1, given the division that they are in, given the progress for what the Jaguars made in the second half of the season, heading into this next year with Lee and Cohen, 20-1, that seems to be on a little bit on the far side, in my opinion. I think that's too high. I don't know if I agree with the Bills at 12-1. I mean, do we know what Joe Brady's going to look like as a head coach? He's an offensive coordinator. Is the defense going to get any better? And then the Ravens, you got Minter coming over, and he's a defensive guy to run the Ravens, so maybe he fixes it. But Mike McDonald was a similar type of guy. It took him a couple of years to figure out what to do and get that dark side defense going in Seattle. So those odds are interesting. I will point out the Chargers, however. The Chargers next year, I think the Chargers are in a really good position. I like where the Chargers are a lot. I like where Harbaugh is. I like the Mike McDaniel hire as the offensive coordinator. I think he's going to be able to work with Justin Herbert. Hopefully he can stay healthy. The question with the Chargers has always been health, not anything else with talent. They've always been super talented. That's why, voting for Justin Herbert to win MVP was a joke because they underperformed. They couldn't stay healthy. This Charger team consistently underperforms. So now they got Amarian Hampton. at the running back position. You got wideouts to throw to. You got Joe Alt, who needs to stay healthy, but if he stays healthy, let's see what happens with that offensive line for the Chargers. 15-1. I think that's a pretty nice price for the Chargers. Yeah. That's the problem, right? The Chargers always just become the Chargers, and they can't get out of their darn way, unfortunately enough. So, yeah, I agree, Kat. I agree with like, well, Ravens and Bills, you can have that. 12-1, no thank you. Like, that's nuts. Now, during the season, I think you're going to get better, much better numbers than what we're seeing right away. But I think it is interesting. The Rams are expected to be right back there, and the 49ers are not, which is a little strange to me. Again, the Niners on paper, Rams 8-1. The Niners are 18-1. Like, we get a $10 difference between the two teams. Is that because the championship is in LA? The Super Bowl is in Los Angeles? Is that why we're looking at that? Otherwise, it doesn't make a lick of sense. Those odds don't make a lick of sense on a lot of ways. It's the day after the Super Bowl, but I am surprised at those odds. I think the Chargers at 15-1. If I had to go and say pick one team that I like that price, I like the Chargers at 15-1. I think they might be surprising to people next season, having a pretty good year with the additions on offense that Jim Harbaugh has made for the LA Chargers. If you guys are watching the show live, don't move. More to come here in bonus time with picks for tonight. If you guys are on the replay on Sports Grid, thank you for being here. Back tomorrow, same place, same time for a Tuesday's episode of BVB, brought to you by BetCris Arizona. Okay, let's make some bets. Yeah, that's a good point made by JC in the chat. We don't even know when Mahomes will return. So maybe the odds on the Chiefs are a bit too long or short as well. Too short as well on the Chiefs. Maybe that number should be higher for Kansas City. But, I think the opinion is the public's going to bet it. So that's probably why that number is where it is for Kansas City. But yeah, I agree. The numbers on the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, but again, the AFC is in a really weird place. If I were to go shopping, I would go shopping to see what happens with the Bengals. Like, what will the Bengals look like? I don't like Zach Taylor, but you have to be, it's Joe Burrow. If Burrow can stay healthy, which he hasn't been able to, is it Lamar's time? I don't know. Like, the AFC's in a weird, we'll spend the whole, summer talking about the AFC, but the AFC's in a weird spot. Like, there's a lot of young coaches with a lot of, young or new quarterbacks under their systems having a chance to go and try to go up against the power. Like, as I said last night, going into the game, it felt like 85. It felt like 96. It felt like 2001. And 2 of those years, the Patriots got beaten up by the NFC. And they were going to get beaten up. They were supposed to have gotten beaten up by the Rams when they were 13-point dogs, and they won the game outright. It shows you how good Tom Brady was, how good of a quarterback Tom Brady was. The Patriots are now 1-3 in those games where they were not expected to win. They didn't have the greatest quarterback of all time. They were by far the less talented roster. Some of those championship games, going into the games against the Falcons or going into the games against the Eagles, the Patriots had a more talented roster than who they were facing. Against in 85 against the Bears, not even close. And Drake Maye's performance goes down with Tony Eason's performance in that game as 2 of the worst quarterback games ever played by a quarterback in a Super Bowl. Steve Rogan played a bit as well in that 85 game, but mostly it was Tony Eason, who was awful. Drake Maye was awful last night. And then you had Drew Bledsoe against the Packers team led by Reggie White, who was in his face the entire game. The Patriots offensive line couldn't stop Reggie White, and the Patriots lost that game, unfortunately, to Brett Favre and Mike Holmgren. And then last night, similar thing. Patriots not the most talented of team. The roster is not as good, and they get destroyed by a defense. So I was very impressed with the Patriots defense. I was very impressed with what the Patriots were able to do defensively to stop Sam Darnold and company. They were in the game in the fourth quarter, down 12-0 in the fourth quarter. You can't ask for much from a defense to hold an opposing team to 12 points over 3 quarters in a Super Bowl. Like, that's pretty damn impressive. So now you got to fix the offense, and the Patriots need weapons in a big, big way. They need weapons. Okay, let's talk games tonight. just the picks presented by the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. I am not betting college because I got killed over the weekend betting college. So I've had a lot of success betting the NBA. So I'm going to stay with the NBA. The Charlotte Hornets have won 9 games in a row, and they're at home against the Pistons. And Charlotte is a 3-point home dog. It's 2.5 at certain books now. There's been some money put on Charlotte, but I just think you bet the hot team here. The Pistons have been sort of up and down, 5-5 over their last 10 games, both straight up and against the spread. And Charlotte is hot. And I think you just ride the hot team. They're at home. Take the 3 points from Charlotte, and they may win the game outright. But I'm taking the Hornets +3 here just to ride a hot team in the NBA. And I'm on an island for my second game because I like Milwaukee +9.5. This number is all the way up to 11.5. I just can't back. I just can't back Orlando laying double digits up against the Milwaukee Bucks because they have won 3 games in a row. They've covered 3 games in a row. It just feels like the public is totally fading Milwaukee. But after the Giannis news, he's not playing tonight again because of the calf, but Giannis was supposed to get traded. He didn't get traded. Instead, Giannis became a prediction market spokesperson during the trade deadline. And so now I feel like this team is like exhaling and just going out there and playing basketball. I don't think they'll win the game. I just think this number is too high for an Orlando team that's been extremely inconsistent. I liked Orlando a lot going into the season. They just haven't played up their ability. I think that they win, but you can get 11.5 points now for Milwaukee. I took 9.5 points. Give me the Bucks at +9.5 here tonight for the NBA. So I'm excited to watch to see what happens in the NBA tonight. I got nothing on the NBA. I know a couple guys are asking for NBA plays for tonight. Arizona Kansas game tonight. Well, hold on. Let me see what that line is up to. That's the best game to watch by far. That game's awesome. It's -2. So KU is a dog at home. I don't know if you guys remember the last time Kansas was a dog at home and what happened. So yeah, I bet against KU the last time the Kansas was a home dog and they beat Iowa State by a bazillion. So yeah, I'm not interested in betting and I'm not interested in fading KU at home. I'm also not interested in betting against a really good team in Arizona. So that's a no play. Like that's one of those games that like in game potentially jump into it, something like that. But I would stay away from Arizona and Kansas. Am I betting the PGA this weekend? I don't know yet, Ish. I gotta. This is a transitional week, and let's get into that because I think it's a good time to talk about it. I don't know if it was my favorite thing about today, but it's definitely something to talk about. Favorite thing about today, and I don't know if this is my favorite thing about today, but I talked about this a little bit on X at the end of football. And while I love that the Patriots were in that game last night, I hate the fact that football was ending because of just how emotionally draining these last 6 months have been in my life for a variety of reasons. As you guys know, I've been traveling a ton, and I think my soul is a little bit tired from a lot. And if you look at what happened in July when Dave had his surgery, Dave was diagnosed in June. In July, he had the surgery. In July, we had to shelve the Brigade Proxy service, and Tom from Vegas Proxy was amazing to step up and be a part and help us to have all of our customers. And he took that money and he gave every dollar that he would have made by those customers from the Brigade Proxy service over to Jessica and the girls. He voluntarily did that. We tried to pay him for his time. He said, absolutely not. I'm giving that money. I'm doing it for free. So he worked for free. There were many of you in the Brigade Proxy service that got to work with Tom this football season because of his graciousness. And I will forever be indebted to Tom for doing that. But there are some big questions about what to do with the brigade proxy service. Does it stick around? Does it go away? I as of right now, I can tell you I don't really have an interest in doing a proxy service myself, but I don't know. Things change. Life changes. I was traveling a ton last football season to the East Coast. Do I do that again? I don't know. If I do, then no, I wouldn't be looking to do a proxy service. So the questions that are here after football being over make me miss Dave a ton and has been difficult to kind of sit here and go, all right, I'm about to get my time back. Like I am a 6 month on, 6 month off type of guy where for 6 months I am going crazy. For the next 6 months, I'm not. And so we're here into that dead period where, yeah, there's basketball. Yes, there's baseball, but it's when I take vacations, and I'm going to take a vacation coming up here in a couple of weeks and take my daughter to Florida. And I am going to go on other vacations, other trips, other things that I'm going to do this summer and whatnot. And so like, these are the moments where you try to recharge and get ready to go for next football season. But that will be weird for me because Dave, this is like the processing time. This is like okay, wow, like BVB, it wasn't just a moment, a single season type of thing. Like this is what this show will be permanently now. So there is a lot of sadness that I have to deal with and a lot of grief that I have to deal with that I haven't really processed and I haven't really, had a chance to do so because we've been so busy and doing so many things. So now is a chance to kind of go, all right, what changes do I want to make? What's the plan for the next year? The first thing was to get the show funded for the year. BetCris Arizona and Adam Bjorn funded the show for the year. So we are here from Super Bowl to Super Bowl. Next year in LA, we will be at LA. We will be on Radio Row for the Super Bowl next year. Guaranteed 12 months. Show's not going anywhere. So first things first was getting that situated and locking that down to cover, to make sure the show can keep going. So we're good there. Second is the YouTube channel and wanting to grow the YouTube channel. So now it's about growth. Now it's about what do we do next? What does the brand look like? Where does the brand go? How do we start all of these things? What does it look like? So that is going to be a very large conversation. I've been having it off air with a bunch of people. We'll have it again coming up here this offseason. So what does that look like? Then it's about sponsors and it's about shows and things that I want to do. The next live show that I'm trying to put together will be at the NFL draft. I hope to have some more information about that. That show is in Pittsburgh. So or that show would be in Pittsburgh for the NFL draft. Obviously that is where Dave is from. So we are trying to put something together. If anybody is interested in being a part of that show, please reach out to me and let me know because I am actively working. I have had really good conversations with the Pittsburgh Pirates, with Bet Rivers, with other companies that are thinking about being involved. So, I don't know if they still will be involved or who will be involved for sure, but there are companies out there that want to be, who are close to Dave, who want to be involved. They want to make sure and help for this show to happen for the draft. So like those are the next things like on the horizon. Clearly March Madness on the horizon, but football being over and kind of closing that book and closing what will be, I will remember the 25-26 NFL season for the rest of my life for multiple reasons, both good and bad. And so, the end of football was met with a lot of gratitude and a lot of sadness is how I wrote it last night. And it's still here. I mean, I have a lot of gratitude for what happened and I have a lot of sadness for what happened. And you guys in the brigade, I cannot thank you guys enough for being with us and supporting us. And I hope that you guys will stick around and stay and be a part of this show as we're done with football. I hope you stay through basketball and hockey and March Madness. And as we get into the NFL draft and as we get into the dog days of summer and we start, talking again about the contests and the Circa Millions and we start looking ahead to, football in 2027, 26, 27, because I think next year is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what the Circa contests look like. It's going to be wild. I think, this show will be involved with the Circa Million next year in a different way than it has been before. And there's just a lot of things that we're going to try to accomplish for the next year. So as we put a kind of a closing remark on the 25-26 football season, I wanted to say thank you to you guys and to know that I think about this show every single day, every single, not every hour, but a lot of hours during the day are spent talking, thinking, wondering what exactly we're going to do next. And we got some big things. We got some big things coming. Okay. And again, once I can make the announcement about what may happen for the draft, I'm going to let people kind of get situated back in their places, but I'm trying hopefully to have a big announcement about the NFL draft for the show live. I'll just tell you guys what I'm trying to do. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not to do it, but I want to do whatever you want to call it, a celebration of life. This is your life, Dave Sharapan, whatever it might be. I would like to do that in February at the NFL draft, if we can. So that's the next thing. Okay. That's the next goal. That's in April. So got 2.5 months, try to put that together and try to get that thing situated and booked, but just know I'm on it. I'm working hard, and hopefully we'll have some announcements coming up. And I should just say this in case everyone's wondering, like, wow, BetCris is your title sponsor, and you may go work with a different book in Pennsylvania. Yes, because BetCris has been totally cool with this. Adam's been involved in the conversations every step of the way, and so Adam is. I don't think I've ever worked with anybody more understanding of the business of media than Adam Bjorn. He's like, you're working with Circa? I'm good. You're working with BetCris? I'm good. We want the show every day. So if you need to go do some things, go right ahead. It's no worries. It's a pretty cool deal. It's been a really good relationship, and I can't wait to see what we do over the next 12 months with BetCris. And again, they have Prime. So if you're in Ohio, if you're in New Jersey, if you're in Kentucky, you can use Prime. That is also Adam Bjorn's property with Planetech. So just understand what they may do a whole rebrand this summer before football. So this show could be brought to you by BetCris Arizona for a while, and then the new brand, whatever that might be. So I am, yeah. He is a really good person. He is a really good dude. So Train, I hope to see you. I hope you'll be there. I'll contact you. I hope to see you if we're able to do it in April for the draft. I hope to see you. We have a tentative location. We have a tentative plan. But we're trying to nail those things down over the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned, and hopefully I'll have more on that coming up in the very near future. Thank you for watching, guys. Appreciate it. We're back tomorrow on a Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern time for a new episode of the Bostonian versus the Book, presented by BetCris Arizona.